Hey there, guys. This is Malorian, and this is going to be a Malorian Live, or, well, it's not really a Malorian Live, it's a Malorian Paintisode. And what we're going to be doing during this is I'm going to be painting some stuff for about an hour, and the whole idea is that you at home are supposed to pull out your own things to paint, and at the end I'll yap about some stuff, so hopefully I'll entertain you while you paint your things, and we just get lots of stuff painted and talk about a bunch of stuff. If you are actually watching this live, of course, you can always post something you want me to talk about. Otherwise, I'm just going to make things up as I go. Today I'm drinking a local raspberry ale. It's basically a raspberry flavored thing. It comes from, here in Alberta, so, gotta give it a try. Actually, that's the wrong thing to say for it, because we get this one a lot. But anyway, what I'm going to be painting today is some more War Machine models, and this one is going to be Alexian Arisen. And sometimes I'm not very sure that I can paint whatever models during the actual show. The actual last show, I would just try to paint one model. That's all I wanted to do, and I failed. So, I get talking about stuff and I lose track of time. But this one here, I'm really sure I can do 19. And the reason for that is because basically we're going to be painting some ghost type things. So the whole idea with Alexia and her Risen is she's kind of like this female necromancer. So I already have her painted up. I'm going to have to touch her up a bit because she has some scratches and stuff. But one of the cool things that she does is raises up all these skeletons to the point where, she starts with 9 little buddies, but can go up to 20. And basically, as people die around her, she brings them back to life. It's a really cool mechanic. But the problem is you get like handfuls of guys, and you don't really care too much about them because they're really crappy models. And you get the same thing in fantasy, right? Let's say if you just have a whole bunch of goblins, or if you have a whole bunch of skeletons, or a whole bunch of zombies, and that, especially like, let's say for the case for the skeletons and zombies, it could be that they're not even in your list whatsoever, right? You only have these for if you are going to be pulling these things back up and making a unit. So it's like, how much time do I really want to dedicate it to it? So in this one here, at first, I was being held back because I was like, man, there's all these different guys with all these different details, and do I really want to spend all this time for this stuff that I might not even ever really use? And what I saw is a whole thing you see a lot from vampire accounts as well, where for their spirit hosts and stuff like that, they just make them look like ghosts. And so that's what we'll be doing today. I'm going to be first going them all over with Warboss Green and get that green color on there. Then I'm going to do a dry brush of white on top of that. And then finally I'll be doing my dark wash over that. And I'll just be looking like a ghost type guy. And sure, they're not really supposed to be, ethereal, whatever. But, nobody ever seems to really have a problem with it, right? You can kind of see exactly what they are. I did have one comment here. Unfortunately, it quickly disappeared. I don't know why that happened. So I can't say who said the comment because I was just reading it while I was talking. But what they wanted me to talk about was this whole idea of sliding for the combat reform. And this is something where I know there's a lot of people with different thoughts on it. And for my part, I really have been playing it. Unless it's really tactically imperative, I'll let things go the way the opponent wants. But let me just walk you through what the premise of this argument is and kind of explain how it could kind of go either way. So a normal reform is really simple, right? You have to keep your center the same. You can go and change ranks and positions all you want, but the main thing that is really important is that you have to keep your center of the unit the same. So you can't just randomly teleport 8 inches to the side. Your center has to be the same. Now, when it comes to combat reforms, they don't have that comment about your center needing to stay the same. And one of the things that they had to actually do was add in an FAQ saying that you can't just pop from one flank to the other. And that's a very, very key one, because I mean, what some people, some cheesy people would try and do before is like, okay, I won combat, you held, but now I'm going to combat reform to your rear. And it was like, what? You can't do that. Well, of course I can. Look, that's less than 8 inches for any of my guys, so it's totally legit. So that's why there need to be an FAQ for it. Now, here's the side for one part. If they had to make an FAQ about this and didn't actually change it to you having to keep your center the same, clearly they're okay with your center not being the same, right? And so you can kind of slide around and do what you need. And what the tactical implication is for that is that, let's say you are holding up a unit and all of a sudden you see that they're going to countercharge and they're going to need to hit you on one corner. Well, what you do is you combat reform over so that there is no corner for them to hit. Now, here's the other rules that you have to keep in mind. One, you have to keep as many models in base-to-base contact, at least as many as you had before. So you can, there's nothing wrong with you combat reforming and increasing the number of models in base-to-base contact, but you can't be, you know, like reforming to go to Congo line to be taking models out of combat. And that's the second part that's going to be the real centric part to this debate, is that the other part is you can't take models out of combat. And this is where you get to a whole thing about rules as intended and rules as written and all this junk, because what some will say is rules as intended, the whole purpose for this is you can't combat reform to take your characters out of combat. So for example, oh man, you got the charge on me, and luckily I held, and my BSB survived, so I'm going to combat reform now to be 12 wide, whatever, so that I'm not reducing the number of models total in base-to-base combat, but I'm going to be taking my BSB out of combat. Now, that's why that rule exists, is to make sure that doesn't happen. However, some of these people also say, this goes as far to say that you can't take individual rank-and-file models out of base-to-base. So even though this is just, you know, High Elf Spearman, number 326, because you're in base-to-base contact with him, and he's on the left point of the unit, you cannot leave base-to-base combat with that rank-and-file model to go and zip over to the other side. And that's really the line in the sand, right? We got one side that's saying, hey, I'm allowed to combat reform. I don't need to keep my center the same. I'm transferring over. I have the, you know, there's 5 models in base-to-base contact before. There's 5 models now after. And I did not take any characters out of base-to-base contact. And then you got the other side saying, nope, if you do that, you're taking that spearman out of base-to-base contact, and so therefore that's an illegal maneuver. Now, what side do I feel is right? Well, personally, I believe that you should be able to do it, and that the intention was more to keep characters out of combat, and that overall, I mean, it gives a lot more tactical flexibility, right, where you're sliding around and all the rest of it. Now, of course, you can get into some really silly ways where this kind of compounds on itself, because what you'll have is and that's what he's coming from in this one thing here, is talking about, in that example that they posted earlier, there was an Arachnarok fighting some guys, and they're on one side, and then what happens is that they go and reform to be on the other side of the Arachnarok, and then the Arachnarok then reforms to be on the other side. So whereas the combat used to be here, now magically the combat's over there. And that is kind of crazy and kind of silly. And I mean, normally that doesn't happen, to be completely honest, but it has happened. It's happened in my games, and usually it's a thing where, like I said, I see you're trying to countercharge that Stegonon into combat, and so I'm going to not show you that one corner, and so I'm going to combat reform to the side, and then in response, they just combat reform again to keep that one flank open. And yeah, I'm like I said, it's kind of silly, but overall, um, I think it's what they intended, and I think it makes the game more interesting. I have one here from SoCal Gaming saying, "Hey, how about you explain Warhammer to all of us fantasy players?" Now, that's not a simple thing here that I can just do very, very quickly. I think I actually did a video in the past where I actually did explain how to play War Machine and all the rest of it. And, maybe that's something I should go back and actually do a full video explaining the full part of the game and how exactly it works. I know other YouTube channels have already done this. For example, I believe, or I know that Blue Table Gaming did it, and I can't remember their names. Mini Wargaming, there you go. I actually had to think of the people, Mini Wargaming Dave and Mini Wargaming Dan and Matt and all that stuff, to remember that they're Mini Wargaming. But yeah, they go through and explain. Another good place to get information on it is go find Wargamer Girl. Her videos are amazing because she'll just explain step by step exactly what's happening in the game. But since you asked, and I'll keep it really short because this is a fantasy thing for the most part, War Machine, in effect, is, to explain it to fantasy players, is a skirmish game. So you aren't having, like the 300 models and stuff like that. Really, in your standard larger type of game, you are going to be having an average of roughly 30 models type thing. So it really is more of a skirmish type style game. It is completely based off dice from the one side. It's a 2d6 game. And so what that really means is that on your turn, your opponent typically has no input whatsoever. You're rolling to hit, you're rolling to bypass their armor, you're doing all this stuff, and what that really allows you to do is make it so that you're on the clock, so that, say, over the entire game, you might only have an hour. For those of you who know competitive chess, you would know about the chess clock, and that's exactly what they apply to War Machine. So that's another big part of it. The other big mechanic of it is it's a lot like chess, where you have a leader, right? You have your king. In this case here, though, in War Machine, they're usually very, very, very powerful. However, if they ever die, it's game over. So every single game, you're looking to try and find that assassination. However, the game's not just about assassination. There's also scenarios like I've tried showing you guys examples of with the zones and flags. And so, for example, you might have to get 5 points, and you get 1 for controlling this zone each turn. And once you get to 5, you win. And also, if you ever control it with your caster, your leader, you'll get 2 points. So it's kind of like this whole balance of risk and assassination and scenario and time all at the same bit here. The rules are very straightforward, very solid, and instead of releasing new books all the time, they release new models. So the rules for a given model pretty much never changes. They've only done one edition change so far. The only thing they do is they add more models to the process. So that's really War Machine in a nutshell. Like I said, I don't want to go too deep into it because I want to be talking more about fantasy on these things, but that's really it. It's a fantastic game, and if you guys get a chance, you should check it out because it really is a lot of fun. One of the things I've been, now that I got back in this last week, I got to spend a lot of time with a lot of my fantasy friends as I got to play with them and do the campaign and all that fun stuff. And I said the same thing to all of them, is that, you know what, if I had the choice and I could just push a button and all my fantasy friends would start playing War Machine, I would push that in a heartbeat. There would be no reservation. It's just a great thing for everyone, right? It's a very tactical game. If you love painting, there's great models, but yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to dwell on it too much. Something I did want to talk about is there were spoilers there for that Nagash campaign coming out. So I did have my doubts in the beginning that this was actually factual, but it's hard to deny it when you get to see the pictures and get to see Nagash. And let me just say, if you haven't seen these spoiled pics of what Nagash looks like, yeah, he is amazing. They did a hell of a great job with that model. It is humongous. I guess it's the size of, it must be bigger than a tree man. It must be. It looks absolutely massive. And I guess the points for it is the points you might be seeing for like an entire army. So really interested to see what they do with this. Clearly, it's not something that's going to be ongoing. I mean, I can't see Nagash being tournament legal or anything like this, but it's just going to be really neat to see how much they put into a one-off campaign like this and what they're going to do with it going forward, right? I mean, is this a campaign they'll be taking results for on their website? You know, I think I really talked about that in the last Paintisode about how they used to be doing campaigns like that, and they were great. They were a lot of fun, a lot of interaction, a lot of people got into it. So really hoping they have this larger base campaign. I mean, even if it's just a campaign like they have set up in Blood and Badlands or something like that, that'd still be really nice. But if they had a larger one where you log in results and it's, you know, whether you're vampires or orcs or whatever, you're putting in your results, and you need to try and stop Nagash and all these things. And maybe it could be a thing where, you know, if you don't stop Nagash, he is going to be killing the Emperor of the Empire, right? Karl Franz will die if you do not stop him. And all of a sudden, then in the next book, the fluff goes past, there's a new Emperor or whatever, right? Like, that'd be great if it was actually a campaign that had solid ramifications after. We have another question here from Deraj. It's a D-E-R-A-J, saying, your video are awesome, Malorian. You do a great job on all of them. Your battle reports and tactical videos are the best around. Thanks for your hard work. I'm sure everyone who watches really appreciates them. And, you know, I think it's more of a thing where I really appreciate you guys watching them. In the very beginning, when I started throwing these together, they were really more for my part than anything. I had been doing a lot of work, or not work, I would call it submissions, or whatever, however you want to term it, on Warseer, where I was doing a lot of battle reports. And really how that starts there is, I mean, in the beginning, I wanted to track and see what my own mistakes were, right? And so I would be in a book writing down what my list was, what the map looked like, what happened, and the reasons, just analyzing myself after why I won or why I lost. But pretty quick after that, I started writing up my battle reports and putting them on Warseer. And from there, you know, people would have suggestions, or they'd be, at first, because I mean, you know, making mistakes and stuff, they'd be saying to me, like, Malorian, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And so it was a great way to me to learn actually the game, and, you know, even mistakes, right? Where I was like, oh, actually, Malorian, you completely cheated. That's not how this works. And so that was really good. The self-analysis was really good. But as I got better, then it started going farther too, where people were actually asking me for tactical advice. And, you know, it feels really good, right? First of all, you feel really good because you're giving back to the community, right? You know there's people out there who look forward to reading or watching your battle reports every single week, right? I mean, it's even part of their routine. I've been told by people, like, that's what they do during their lunch, is the first thing they do is, for the Warseer guys, they'd log on the Warseer, or for the YouTube guys, oh, we would go on to YouTube, and they'd try and see, and they would hope that there was a new orc tactical team or something. And, you know, it's just, first of all, like I said, it makes me feel good that I'm giving back to the community, because, I mean, hell, when I first started, I was really relying on others to keep my motivation up, right? It was, oh man, Remy was one of the guys' names. They're not on the forums or anything, so these names are kind of don't really matter. But these were guys that were themselves have been playing ever since Rogue Trader. They knew all the additions. They had all these models. They could tell you all these stories about how things are changed. They can give you tactical tips, and they really get you into the hobby, showing you how to paint, how to make terrain, organizing tournaments, and of course, eventually they stop and they get out of the hobby as they get older and retire or whatever have you. And then you kind of see, like, man, now it's kind of my turn, and I need to really give back. So, if anything, being able to have this channel that goes up to 5,000 subscribers and all these things, if nothing else, lets me know that I was able to live up to them, right? I was able to give back in the same way that they gave back. So, thank you to all you guys that subscribe and watch me ramble on while I paint skeletons green. And so far I'm doing pretty good. I've painted half of them green, so that's good, I guess. It's one of these things where in the very beginning, this would look very awkward if I just put it on the table, just a whole bunch of green skeletons. But we know where this is going. We've all seen the vampire counts. That's one of the things I'm kind of wondering too with this Nagash campaign is I haven't sold my vampire accounts yet. I got rid of a couple of other armies, but the vampire accounts I still have. And now that I see this Nagash thing, it's like, well, this could actually be pretty handy because then, I mean, when you look at the one Nagash picture, you can clearly see that behind him are ghouls. So they're not in front of him. It's not what he's fighting. It's what he's leading. So it also kind of makes sense that he'd be kind of leading this undead army. But, yeah, so if I want to take part in this fluff and try some campaign or something, I'll still have these guys to do it. And the nice thing, too, is, of course, you guys have been seeing that I have the campaign that I'm doing with Kieran Dunleavy, and that's going well. But at the same time, we're going to be getting close to, we're already past halfway done now, and so it could work out very well that as soon as we're done this campaign, we, or a mixture of other people, could start doing this new Nagash campaign. So that could work out very well. And I mean, not everyone, rather, has vampire accounts. In fact, in this group here, I might be the only one. I don't think Kieran has them. But, then maybe I'll have to be the evil guy. I'll have to be Nagash. And I'd have no trouble putting out the money for that model. Like I said, that model, if you haven't seen it, I would not feel bad if you pause this video or sneak away to go check it out. Go Google the new Nagash model. In fact, it's on the Warhammer YouTubers page there on Google+. So you could go check it out there. Somebody was awesome enough to go post it up. And like I was saying, I would have no problem spending the money on that model. It looks great. So, and apparently it's like this super wizard where, when it raises up skeletons and stuff, you multiply by 3 or 4 or something like that, the number of skeletons. So he's the type of thing where if he doesn't start with a whole bunch of guys, it looks like by the end of the game, there certainly will be. For those of you guys watching, feel free to ask me any more questions or things you want me to talk about. I see that I have a good number of people watching right now, so that's always kind of cool to see. I'm going to be trying to do these Paintisodes now every single Monday, so we'll see how long I can keep this up. But it's actually really handy to do these live because then it's just going straight out. I don't need to spend all the time rendering the video or doing anything else. And plus, if I can get more of this routine, then for you guys who want to see this live, you know when to log in and see it. And as well, I mean, I can put it on the Warhammer YouTubers page. So for those of you who are not part of that, I'll try and come back after and put a link to it down below. But that just really is a great page for you guys to try and follow. It was good to see. I mean, first I made it and didn't seem like that many people were joining. It seemed the biggest thing that was really making that group jump up was actually Long Island Wargaming in their Warhammer Weekly. So kind of sad that they're taking a break now, but I give credit to the jump in numbers to them because it was great. You know, whenever they were doing a show, that's where they'd be grabbing people who want to be on there, who want to show off their painting. And it's just a great place for this community to get together and share things. Like people go on there and share the models that they've been painting, the campaign stuff they're working on. Like I said, they posted up the picture of those spoiled Nagash stuff. So, you know, you could either go on Warseer and talk to a bunch of trolls, or you could come on there and be with friends. So, up to you. I actually haven't been on YouTube or not YouTube, I haven't been on Warseer for a while because I just find I'm not getting from there what I used to. I used to really get really deep into the tactics there, but after a while I found that there was too many people giving false information, or they're only just going on there just to complain with you, and man, is that annoying. You know, I might go on there and somebody's saying, hey, I'm new to Orcs and Goblins, what do you think I should do? And I'll go on there and, you know, I'm not just going to go on there and say, take hordes of black orcs, win, ha 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 ha. You know, I also base it around, you know, I try to figure out what experience do they have, right? What type of funds do they have to throw at this? Because just telling someone who's new, oh, go get a horde of black orcs and a horde of savage orcs, well, you're asking this person to invest $200. And that's not nothing, right? I mean, that's a big investment. So it doesn't really help if you just go onto the forum and tell them, yeah, open up your wallets. You know, you might want to get a second job to get these things, right? I like to go more on there and say, okay, you know, what other models do you have available to you? How competitive do you plan on being, right? Trying to work through it, but that takes several posts. And while you're trying to deal with those posts, you just have the other idiots going on there and saying whatever stupid stuff they say. So that was, I can only take so much of that. And so that's why it's always kind of nice, too, when people just private message me, because then I can just walk them through the process. I did have a new message here, but it just disappeared. Go away. Got this stupid little thing here in the sidebar that's... I wonder if there's any way I can refresh that. Or if I can just close them. But yeah, it showed a comment, and then the comment went away. So apparently I can't just do the thing of I'll just finish my topic and look at the thing after, because unfortunately this is the second time where I've noticed a comment go up and then disappear. So I don't know if that's the person deleting it or what. I don't know why it would be falling off the radar here. Meanwhile, I have another one that's up here twice. So, but the other problem too of on the Warseer is I used to love going on there for all the rumors and spoilers, because you honestly would have people coming on there with inside knowledge, and they'd be giving you the real deal, saying, you know what, this stuff is coming up. If you want to see the pictures of what's coming up, you would know to look there first, and it was great. And then all of a sudden it must have been either Games Workshop cracking down on them or cracking down on other people, and so they started taking the precautions, knowing that they could be asked at any time to stop sharing these things and cause trouble for the website, that type of stuff kind of stopped. And so in the end, what you have is no one's really posting the real information, and so all you get is wish listing, right? I'll go on there and I'll just be reading pages and pages, and it's not the leaks and then people talking about the tactical implications of the leaks. It's more like, man, sure would be cool if Bretonnians got foot knights. Oh man, would it be cool if they could actually like capture monsters and use them themselves? Wouldn't it be cool if this? And it's like, well, that's all fine and dandy, but I'm coming on here to learn what actually is down the tubes, right? If I am an actual player of that army, I want to I'm really keenly interested to know what's going on, so I know what to look forward to in the direction they're going to take my army and what type of models I should plan on buying. You know, if all of a sudden it turns out the new Orcs and Goblins are coming out and Boar Boys, they're going to be awesome, right? Boar Boys, that's where it's going to be it. Well, then I'll know that I need to start saving up because I might want to buy 4 boxes of Boar Boys. But if I don't have those rumors, you know, all of a sudden they get released and it's kind of too late, right? It's like, well, I guess I can start saving up for that now, but it's going to take a while, and usually while I'm having that money in my wallet, it gets spent on other things. So, all right, we've got another one here saying from Daraj saying, you mentioned that you sold 2 of your armies. Do you still have your Bretonnian army? Which fantasy armies do you have? The Bretonnians were one of the first ones to go. Really, the biggest thing for them, and I've had a lot of people actually ask me, you know, why don't you do Bretonnian battle reports anymore? And the big thing was just the painting, guys. I just could not do it. Whenever I tried to force myself to paint Bretonnians, I would get partway done one model, and it was just torture to me. You know, with how long it took to paint one model one night, and then it would look like trash, right? Here, Bretonnians, they actually are a lower model count. It really is an army that you want to do to show off as an artist, and I'm not that good of a painter. I mean, look at me. I'm just splashing green onto models, right? I am not your Golden Demon winner whatsoever. So, and then of course you have all the little shields on there that you have to do all the handmade designs and stuff. And so I decided, you know, I just can't do this. So I got rid of that one. And then the armies I still have left is I have Orcs and Goblins, I have my High Elves, I have my Dwarves, I have technically Warriors of Chaos if I do a Throg Troll list, and then I also have the Vampire counts for now. And I'm going to hold on now probably until I see the new campaign. And the big thing for them too is a thing where they are not one of my main armies, right? And so when the new book came out, also looked like, wow, I'll have to buy all these terror geists and stuff and hex rates, and I just said no. If I'm going to spend all that money, I would rather spend it on one of my main armies, on dwarves, on orcs and goblins. I'm not going to spend all this money on an army I play maybe once or twice a year. Canvas01 says Warseer not being able to give you spoilers because GW might crack down on them isn't really Warseer's fault though. Seems more like it's because GW likes to act like dicks. It's very true, and GW are a bunch of dicks that for some reason don't like people supporting their game. You know, if you're out there using their name and putting out artwork and putting out spoilers and making people really looking forward to your game and pumped up to buy armies, they just don't like that, right? They say, no, we do not want any new players, and we certainly do not want anyone being excited for Warhammer. I mean, like, that would be not what we want. So shut those guys down. So anyway, sarcasm aside, it is not Warseer's fault. But the problem is that then the 2 biggest things I went there for were gone. And so it's kind of like if you went to Denny's because you love their milkshakes and you love their pancakes, and then all of a sudden they got banned for making pancakes, and you know, whatever. You guys see where I'm going with this. Maybe it's not Denny's fault, but I'm still going to stop going to Denny's because they just don't have what I'm looking for. And it's not that I don't go to Warseer anymore. I mean, I still stop in now and then, and I'll try and check things out, but it's just nothing is ever there. And it's really too bad, you know. It used to be that all the time I would check in on the rumors section, and there'd be something new, right? Somebody gave some little tidbit, and it was great. I would go to the tactics, and all of a sudden people are talking about this new combination for this new character that can do with this new tactic, and it was very, very intriguing and awesome. And I just don't see that anymore. And maybe part of it is that, I'm just not on there enough. So if I was to go through the Orcs and Goblins tactical thread, that I would find those gems. But the problem is, like I said, is that now you go through pages and pages and pages of it, and I just don't really find things. And at the same time, it's also a limited time thing too, right? Either I could spend an hour on Warseer, or I could be watching 3 battle reports on YouTube, and I have a hard time enough, trying to keep up with all the reports. So, so now where I'm at with my painting, do I have too many of these skeletons? I do. One of these is supposed to be my son's, because what they do, which is kind of silly with this kit, is that, like I said, it's her, the necromancer, and like 9 other skeletons, and then they give you a few extras and stuff like this. But oh no, 20 is what I'm supposed to have. That's all good. But what I'm trying to say is that they give you a max of 20 that you could grow to, but the actual box doesn't have enough for it. Plus, as well, she can turn these crappy skeletons into these warrior skeletons, and they only give you 1 of those. So where you can make several of them in a game, you have to go to the side and buy them extra. So, yeah. It's one of those things, like I said again, that's why I'm going to be painting these guys up the cheap way, because they're really just a throw out and die. Like, these guys are really, really weak. I mean, really think about zombies in fantasy. That's how weak these guys are. And again, it's super hot here. I just can't stand it. It's 30 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that goes to Fahrenheit, but man, that's where you guys see me just wiping the sweat away. I got the doors open. The sun's not out anymore or anything like that, but this house is like the larger version of like the Easy Bake Oven, and not all that comfortable to be in sometimes. So, while I wait for this to dry, I'm going to do some quick touch-ups on her, on Alexia, because her hair got screwed up. Hopefully you guys are getting your own painting done. You guys have anything else? Oh, all these scratches on your face. Poor Alexia. Otherwise, she's looking pretty good. She has this big, huge red cape, and I thought it'd be full of chips, but it's actually not too bad. There's a few, but nothing too serious. Otherwise, this has actually taken a good amount of time so far. We're about 45 minutes into this. The next stage I have to do on this is the dry brush white. We got some more comments here. It's exploded. Colin Goody saying, I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't a campaign at all, but addition to 8th rule set. I don't really see that. I mean, they did that for 40K a while back, where they released like these trial combat rules that really changed the game. And it was kind of a thing where it was, honest to God, a trial, and they want to see how it went. I don't think that's what they're doing here. There might be elements to it, like maybe the magic phase might be different, and maybe they'll be testing that out. But for the most part, it doesn't really seem that's how GW handles themselves anymore. So I don't think it's a trial. It doesn't mean it won't be, but it just doesn't seem very probable to me. I think this is really just a straight-up campaign, release a cool model that everyone's going to want to buy, and make some good money, and then use that to fund Ninth. I think we'll see. Dark CT saying traveling around is best, but I stick with Daka Daka where I started. And it's funny, people have such this honor and duty to wherever they started going on the internet, right? Like for me, when I first went to Warseer and people talked about Daka Daka, I was like, never, I'm never going to Daka Daka. I didn't know what they even had there. I just refused to go there. And then later on, when I went to Daka Daka, because I had some guys saying, hey, why don't you come over and do a battle report and stuff, I came over, and people were like, oh, Valorian, get out of here. Like, she's like, geez, like, tough crowd. Another one here from Canvas01 saying, I would certainly also rather watch a good battle report than scour forums. I agree with your reasoning. Do you watch any of the advanced maneuver battle reports? I watch all of them. I think those are great reports. Like I said, they don't go into the depth that War Gamer Girl does, but I mean that's not saying anything bad. Like those ones are off the scale, amazing, and their ones are very good. They cover it very well. They're competitive, and so it really gives you something to look at and learn. And so yeah, definitely whenever I see a new one from Advanced Maneuvers, I'm always planning. Okay, I just got to finish the dishes, and then I can watch it and I can find out what happened. Man, this is a lot of whites. This did not work out well. But yeah, I mean, if you didn't see it, I actually had them on Malorian Live extremely recently, and that was great because one of the things I kind of lost track of whenever I watched their battle reports is they kind of have a team going, right? And so whenever they'd say, oh, it's this person versus this person, it was kind of like, I'd almost ignore that part, and it was more focusing on what's the casters, right? I mean, sure, this is Jimmy and that's Johnny, but whatever. I want to know what are the actual models that are being used on the board right now, right? Just get me into the nuts and bolts. But now that I've actually got to meet these guys and talk with them online, now it's a totally different experience where they come on, it's like, oh, it's this guy versus him. This is the Crix guy that everybody likes to try and beat because he's the guy who's dominating the scene right now, and it really puts that whole other aspect to it that you don't really get otherwise. I mean, sometimes you can get that in fantasy when you're looking at one from a group that has a lot of strong players. Say sometimes, I think I sometimes feel like I get that from Once Bittens because he has some very highly skilled players in his area that you'll see a recurring thing where he's going to face them from a lot of different battle reports from tournament to tournament, say like Lord Inquisitor. And so, of course, then whenever it's Malorian, whenever it's Once Bitten versus Lord Inquisitor, you're like, oh yeah, here's the rematch, and you get this different type of connection to it. And I know that's been one complaint with my battle reports is they want to have more interviews with the players, right? They want to see the other side of the coin. The problem is, guys, is that a lot of people out there don't want to be seen. They don't even, it's kind of a stretch to even have me take their pictures of their armies and stuff like this. And I know for what I'm trying to get more into, where it's more of the straight-up video, where I'm then voicing over, that's even more of a stretch. And people are very defensive about it. And say, like when I have it set up at a tournament, I got people coming right up to me saying, hey, what's being recorded here? What's happening? And they get really worried about it. I mean, to me, I really thought it'd be a thing where like, oh boy, I'm not like I'm gonna be famous, blah blah blah, but like this is cool, like after I can see myself on YouTube, and it'll be a neat type thing. But yeah, just it's been going over a lot more negatively with people than when I take the pictures. And I think it's a thing where when I just take the pictures, even if they do something kind of silly, I can kind of cover for them, right? I can say like, well, if you keep this in mind, this could have been a good option. Maybe they could have been going for this. But when it's a video, it's like, wow, this guy is taking forever. Why did he place that there? Or maybe they're worried that maybe they might make a rules mistake, right? Like it really is a pride thing. To me, like I said, if I make a rules mistake, call me out. Just straight up let me know, because that's a mechanism that I use to learn. So the sooner you go and call me out, the sooner I'm going to start playing that rule right. But there's other people saying that are kind of having that pride to them where if somebody on the internet was to say they were wrong and that they cheated, they would like wreck their day, like, oh my God, my pride's been ruined. And you kind of say like, come on guys, I mean, it's not that serious, it doesn't really matter. We're all just playing with toys here, but like I said, some people really take it serious. War General T says, no AC, lol. Yeah, I wish I had some air conditioning here. What quick review of topics tonight? I don't know. I can't tell you the review of topics. The only one thing I wanted to talk about today, guaranteed, was the Nagash campaign spoilers that came out. Oh man, that was horrible. This is not a dry brush whatsoever. This is a wet brush. I just splattered white all over this guy. Wow. This will be the 20th guy to come out. That's a nice thing. I love guys like this. If you really screw it up, you're just like, all right. He'll either be the first one to die or he'll be the last one to come out. Wow. That is like, it is just horrendous. I have other ones where it's like, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And then this guy is just, you think he just fell down into a bucket of white paint. That is, like I said, I am not the Golden Demon guy. If you want to find some good painting, you should be going somewhere else. Which is weird because here I have this Paintisode, right? And you'd think, oh, a guy that does a weekly painting thing, he must be really good. I should go watch him. No, 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 no. Like I said, you should never come here planning to watch me because I am not doing anything here that you'll want to learn from. I mean, sure, maybe you have a drinking game. Like every single time I wipe the sweat from my brow, you got to take a swig. But then you're probably going to go to the hospital. So I wouldn't suggest that type of a drinking game. But yeah, I mean this is better. But even that one's pretty bad. Here, I got to show you this. So again, this is not going to focus, so you're not going to really see it well. But this is what I'm going for. So I mean, you can kind of tell. I mean, the light's going to be really weird on it. Yeah, it's not going to show well at all. But it's just going to be, you want to dry brush so that the paint is lightly going on and just covering the details. And then you have this, where it's like, yeah, he just fell in white paint. It's just, wow, that's so bad. My only hope is that when I get on the black wash onto that, it'll help fix that a little bit, but man, that one is going to need a lot of help. I had some people suggest that maybe I should start doing these on Twitch because the quality of the picture is better and there's faster interaction and stuff like that. No, I think it's just like the whole Daka versus Warseer thing. I'm planning to keep this on YouTube as long as possible. I mean, if something weird happens and, you know, it's just this format is just not working for me anymore, okay, sure. But for the most part, you know, this is where the subscribers are. This is where they expect me to be. And I don't want to be one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm doing a live show on Twitch, you know, come over there now. Okay, now I'm done that, so come back over here for this battle report. Oh, by the way, this battle report will be over here. And it's like, no, one place, cover everything. That's the right way to do it. Well, maybe not the right way, but definitely as a viewer, it makes it a lot more user-friendly. I mean, let's take Once Bitten, for example. I watch every single one of Once Bitten's videos. Every single one. Now, if you took those same videos and all of a sudden some of them are going to be on Twitch, some of them are going to be on YouTube, some of them are going to be on his private website, no, I'm just, sure, whatever's on YouTube, or if there's something really good, like, oh, you know, tournament coverage on Twitch, okay, sure, I'll go over there for that. But otherwise, I'm sure we're all in the same agreement that we're here for more convenience, right? The easier that this is for people, the more they'll watch. They're not here to work. You know, you spent all day having to work and do things. Now you're here relaxing with a beer and your paint, and you just want this to be as simple for as possible. So for time-wise, we're coming near the end, which is good because I've almost done, I want to call it dry brushing, but I know that's a lie. So I'm just going to call it, I'm almost done wrecking all my models. So we are getting close to the end here. There is about a 10-minute delay, it seems, on comments. So if there's some last thing you want me to talk about, post it up now, and I should be able to see it before I'm totally done here. But some of the other things I could talk about is I do have another battle for fantasy coming up here pretty quick. On Wednesday, I'm going to be playing another War Machine night, but on Friday will be the next game of the tournament. Now, I think I'm going to leave this up to you guys of what I'm going to actually use in this. Partly because it's not super critical. What happens in this fight is not going to resolve any land. Nobody's going to lose any fort over it. Basically, the way that it works is that when you have to do challenges, you first have to make challenges with people that you're actually contesting land with to make sure those get resolved and all the rest of it. And then after that, it's just like, okay, if you're not really doing anything, we still want everyone to get games. So everyone still challenges everyone just so that everyone's playing. And so that's what's happening here. It's going to be me versus a Lizardman player, and not the same Lizardman player from before. This is not the one that I played. Okay, actually, he was in the last game. This is the guy where his Temple Guard showed up at the flank there at the end of, well, during turn 4 in the Siege game. So it's not the guy from the Watchtower or the main opponent from the Siege, but this is a different Lizardman guy. And this game here is just straight up, we were just two of the last guys left to do challenges. No land is there, and so we can even use whatever army we want. So to remind you guys what armies I have is there's 3 of them. I have America, which is my Black Orc War Boss, which is Might Makes Right, and it's all going to be orcs and no magic. It's all fist, no brains. And that one there, I mean, again, I'll be up against Lizardmen, and so it might be good to have all those strong units because I can go and beat them up. Then again, going up against a Slan with no magic tends to be a bad thing. Plus, I'll have no real way of catching Skinks unless he makes a mistake. But, meh, it should still be interesting. And you never know if we'll get... Oh, this thing's not closing all the way. When you start having this where you get glue stuck in the back, not glue, paint, so it's not closing all the way, you know that's like the start of the end for the paint, because that's when it's going to start drying out. So if you can, try and like peel out those stuck paints so that it can close all the way, but more often than not, where the paint gets stuck is in the lid and not the bottom, so what can you do? Anyway, the big thing I was going to say, so that's the one army. There is America. Another possibility is also my Night Goblin army, Whelpsley. And this one will be just Night Goblins, and that's really it. It's all about using more cunning and tricks, but it'll only be Night Goblins. And so, of course, in this one, you know, I can double flee to stop the Saurus. Saurus don't really like getting hit by Fanatics. I can use Fanatics to get rid of the skirmishing guys, all the skinks and the chameleon skinks. I have the war machines to take out the monsters, so that could be a very strong choice. And then the last one is my Mulik one, where he's the shaman that has lots of monsters. So I'll be going like a giant and a rock and Wyvern riders and trolls, and yeah, you know, there's a bunch of crazy monsters which are good at fighting Saurus, but do not like poison whatsoever. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. So please write down in the comment there what you want me to use in this. As well, I would love to hear what you were painting while you were watching this. I was able to get... I still have to do my black wash on here. How are we doing for time? I got 5 minutes. I can finish this off, although my wash is pretty much dead. So I might just have to do till my wash is empty, and then I'll have to make some more. But, yeah, I mean, let me know those 2 things. What army do you want me to use? And what were you guys painting yourself? Because I like to know. Gives me something to think about. And, of course, one of the ones that always gets me, like, oh, is when people are painting their own Bretonnians. Because, like, yeah. I know people don't write that they're... probably don't comment that they're painting their Bretonnians just to pick on me, but it's one of those things that whenever it comes up, like, oh yeah, I'm just painting up a bunch of knights, you know, watch this show, and I painted up 2 more knights errant, It's like, I couldn't do that. I'd paint for an hour and still not be done even the horse of one night, right? I'd be there crying in a corner, yelling uncle. Yeah, this is looking good. Now that I put the wash on it, so again, we started with War Boss, whatever, green. Then we dry brushed white, and now I'm just doing my black wash on top of it. Again, for those who don't know what a Malorian black wash is, it is the poor man's wash where all I do is I take water and then I stick my brush all the way bottom of the black paint pot, dip it in, swirl, do that 2 to 3 more times depending on how dark I want the wash to be, and bam, that's the wash, just like that. It's straight up inferior to Devlin Mud, so if you have a wash like Devlin Mud or anything like that, I absolutely go with that one instead because it's just better. But hey, you know, if you have an extra pot available and you don't want to spend that extra money, just do this. It works a lot better. I kind of want to jump ahead and get to that one guy that was super white, just because I want to see how bad that's going to end up. You know, things look a lot better when you can put them on the table painted, but if you paint horrible, maybe you shouldn't bother. Got another one here from More General T saying, wants new Brett AB soon, Army book soon, still gray and want to see new things in a book. Still gray and want to see new things, if any, in book. Yeah, I don't know what's taking so long with the Bretts, because they had the rumors, which maybe again was just wish listing, but they seem like they're going to be very fairly solid rumors talking about what kits we're going to be seeing and all this, and then it kind of disappeared. You know, I kind of heard more lately now that we will not be getting 9th in this year. That will be now being pushed back to next year, and that's kind of good, kind of bad. You know, I would rather see a new edition sooner than later, although maybe it would be better if they did all the other books first. But the main thing why I don't like seeing it being pushed back is that makes me worried that they're losing focus on it, right? They're just going to focus on their big money makers, 40K and 40K, and then all of a sudden fantasy almost turns into the new, or joins the ranks of Lord of the Rings, where it's like, oh yeah, it's that one we kind of put a release out for now and then, but you know, it's not really that important because it doesn't really make us that much money. And so hopefully it's not going to make that much get that treatment. All right, here we go. Here's Mr. I Fell Into the White Paint. How bad is this going to look? Yeah, still looks bad. The black going in and filling in all the crevices makes it not as bad, but it's still pretty bad. Again, he'll be the guy near the back. He'll be the guy to die first. I could redo him if I really, really cared. You know, all I have to do is put that green back on and go back and do the wash again. But honestly, like I said, this is not a leader. This is not something that's a key front important model. This is some really crappy zombie thing that's going to be dying to a stiff breeze every single game. So, you know what? I just don't care. I'm just going to put on this wash, let it dry, put on the basing, and done. Ready for the next tournament. I know as far as tournaments go that there looks like there will be a doubles tournament being put on by Kieran Dunleavy coming up here. So looking forward to getting the full details on that because that one's really fun. In general, I don't really like doubles events because they get too janky as people try to really break the system. A good example of this was me and Simmergloom saying, hey, if we go double orcs and goblins, we can have 3 doom divers and 3 rock lavas and just kill your general the turn 1 of every game pretty much if you're in a bunker. You know, just kill the bunker, put a rock on the head, boom, good to go. So I don't really like usually double events. However, this is going to be a random pairing event, and that fixes everything because all of a sudden you don't know who you're going to be paired with, so you can't really plan for it and come up with the cheesiest combos. You just go out there and have fun. And I don't know if he'll do it for this one, but I know in one of the earlier ones that he did with another guy, as they also would reject your list if you made it too strong. So, like the first one that I did, I actually didn't plan on making it super crazy strong, but I just made my 1,500 point list with having a whole bunch of chariots. It was just a chariot-themed army, but they said, whoa, 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 something like 12 chariots all in one list. And they're like, no, change that up. So, again, if you have somebody like that that's making sure that nobody's going crazy with it, then people can really focus on the fun part of the event, right? It's really just events to get out there, have some fun, see what crazy things can come up, and just kind of enjoy it. It's sure, there's the whole debate between going to tournaments for fun and going to tournaments for competition, but this one I don't feel even falls inside that debate because this is just a tournament designed to have fun, right? You can have tournaments which are just designed to be competitive, say like the old Ardboy tournaments that GW used to put on, where it's just straight up, we're not even asking you to paint anything, just bring 3,000 points and kick in some teeth because it's elimination type thing. So this one here, no, it's not competition. It's all about the friendly play. So, and one of the things I like too is that the way that you find out your pairing is that you draw a bead from a bag, and they'll tell you, what table to go to, and then what they do is they have half the people be good guys, half the people be bad guys, and you just go from there. But there's like one red bead, and if you get the red bead, you get to pick who your partner is. And then all of a sudden, you can make sure, either if you feel like, man, I've been losing all day, I just want to win something, you can go and make sure you get that good combo. Or more likely, what happens here is people will say, like, you know what, this guy over there, he's awesome, right? I just really want to play with this guy because we always have fun together. So that's what I really like about that. Kale Lake asked when this tournament is going to be. And right now, it's not actually set for a date. He was hoping to do it in September here next month, but for the actual day, right now it's not set in stone. So, looking forward to that. Should be lots and lots of fun. Otherwise, I'm done these guys. I mean, okay, done is not completely correct. I still have to fix the bases. I have to, make sure it's black all the way around. I have to mark the front arcs. I have to do the basing. But otherwise, as far as painting the models, they're done. I just have to let them dry now. They look okay. I'm sure if I actually did paint them up as the actual guys, they look a lot better. But ooh, there goes. And you know what? They're done. These same 20 models could have taken me a month or two to get done. Hey, I just got it done in an hour. So that's awesome. Hopefully you guys got things painted too. I'll be back next Monday, same time-ish. I'm going to always try and keep it for the same time. So I hope I'll see you there, and thanks for being here. Bye.